almost there. First, I gotta fill it up. Happy 6,000, buddy. Happy 6,000. Driving this car on a daily is amazing. It's really fun to drive with. Drive around here often. We all know we deal with like a lot of construction, cones everywhere often, that they're not doing anything. A lot of potholes, bumpy roads. This car absorbs those moments perfectly fine. I've been driving with stock coilovers for the past 5,000 miles. But after those 5,000 miles, I've been driving with some HKS Hipermax S coilovers, and those feel a little more smoother and more comfortable to be driving on a daily than the stock ones. And since those dampers are like 30 way, right now I have on the softest, which is 30 on the side of the softness, but if I switch them to the hardest, which is another 30 all the way around, this car in general is even more fun to drive with stiffer suspension when I switch them to that. When I do turns, there's less oversteer. It eats those corners even better than what it does now. In-cabin noise, since I'm driving right now on a bumpy road. Not right now, since this place is like, this side is more flat. Around this area, it starts kind of like rattling. Even when I put down support, like pressure more like it, I don't really hear it anymore. But on a daily, when it's a bumpy road, I hear a lot of noise here, rattling. I don't know why. I've watched a couple of videos that people talk about that annoyance. For an example right here, quick turn. Don't mind the noise and rattling from the flask in the back of my car. But yeah, man, this car is so much fun. Even after 6,000 miles, I don't regret buying this car. Even though we all know this scary situation for us Subaru owners, or I guess GR86 owners, RTV. That's the only thing that scares me. The display panel, perfectly fine, no complaints. Actual dial to control your temperature. Buttons that feel like you're better off using these than the actual touchpad, because I've noticed that some people have problems using those type of infotainment system, like to like mess around with it. The only two things that I've changed in here are my steering wheel, which is leather carbon fiber, shift knob, which is from Billetworkz, Alcantara on the sides, matte black on top, weighted around 450 grams. And there's an idiot in Vegas, love it, doing U-turns when you shouldn't be doing U-turns. I love it. Got some mats earlier today, but everything in here is cool, man. Right here it's leather, more suede here. The interior is magnificent, man. I love it. Buttons to lock and lock. This is fine. I love this, no problems. Push to start. When you go to sport mode, it changes. I just wish this had what the GR86 has, showing your temperature number, but we don't have it, which is fine. I could just get myself a gauge or just switch it off go back to where it says your battery percentage, oil temp, water temp. Glove box size is fine. Passenger seats here, my partner. Back seats more like it, are existent to some. I'm 5'8". I fit back there perfectly fine, but if you're behind the driver, that's a pain in the ass, to be honest. I don't recommend it. Even if you have a toddler, I guess they'll fit there fine, but usually around the age of like 8 years old and above, that's when they start occupying more space, so you're more up close to the steering wheel, let alone the pedals. My friends, 5'8", sat back there perfectly fine. Even if it's a road trip, like more than an hour, I guess that's when you'll start feeling more uncomfortable. But interior wise, it's cool, you know. In-cabin noise when it's like flat ground, no bouncy roads, messed up cracked pothole roads, it's okay, no complaints. I'm used to it since I used to drive back then a 2002 Honda Civic. I currently have stocked tires, obviously from the limited edition. They come like Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires, 215, 40, 18. In the future, I feel like if I were to go for 235 or 225, the roads will feel more smoother. But like I said earlier, with aftermarket coilovers, they've been absorbing the streets, the roads, much more smoother. So interior wise, I recommend it. So a lot of people complain about this, pressing the button, but I have to make my way to actually try to even opening it. Look, I still can't even open it. So if you're 5'6" like me, you'll be fine. Like, even again, look, still can't even press the button. Heated seats, since I have the limited edition for the BRZ. These come in clutch. I prefer this over the AC heater. I'm not a fan of it. Makes my eyes feel puffy, but I love these. They're so warm. They're nice and warm when I need it the most. Now let's talk about the exterior. Not many people, a lot of people don't like the front end of the BRZ. I actually love it. I think it's pretty cute. It looks, I don't know, has some character. When you walk away from it, you look back to it. Let's just, for an example, let's say you have a bad day. You look at it, it just gives you a smile, man. I don't know. The GR86 front end is pretty cool. It looks more aggressive in a way, I guess. But in time, I feel like I got bored of the look of it. So I'm actually glad I stuck with this one. I don't regret it at all. I know I've seen some people switch off their front bumper from the BRZ to the GR86 front bumper, but I'm sticking to mine, man. Or people have done wide body and changed the whole look in general. I don't have that kind of money to be doing that, so I'll stick to the base chassis, base body. The design for the BRZ, I love it, man. Something nice and different. The way it looks, this car is really nice. I like the way they designed the rear with those fenders on the side, even though people shave them off so they could fit wider tires. I really love it, man. All around, the way it's designed for the aero, they designed it to have the air go around it to cut through the wind much easier. Designfully, it's pretty cool, man. They should give that man a raise, whoever designed that. As you can see, I don't have stock wheels. I switched them out with some Ankies T6R gloss black, 18 by 8. I wanted something by like 18 by 8.5, 18 by 9, 9.5, so I could get wider tires. But since I wanted to stick to my stock tires, which is the Michelin Pilot Sport 4, I had to go with that size so I could transfer those tires to those wheels, since I don't make enough to buy a new pair or a new set of wheels. When I got those wheels and installed them at stock ride height, stock suspension, stock coilovers, it looked really nice at first, but over time with that wheel gap, it was really turning me off the way it looked. I first didn't think it went along with it. After a week, after a while, I just couldn't do it. Looking at those wheels at first it didn't look like it went along with it, so I uninstalled them. I installed my stock wheels back to this car, and I was like, screw it, I'll stick around with those. After I got my coilovers, the HKS, and then reinstalled those wheels again to this car, it gave it more character, man. I regret doing that, but hey, you live and you learn. Exhaust wise, I first installed the Remark. I liked it, but when I would drive on a daily or for long periods of time, I'll hear a muffled sound. Less drone. Well, there was drone, but barely noticeable. But I was getting tired of it when I would be on the freeway, so that's why I had to sell it and end up buying MAPerformance exhaust for the BRZ Subaru GRE6, yada yada. It's a really nice exhaust. I prefer this one since it has a resonator delete. The piping, the mid pipe is much more larger, which is 3 inches. I believe Remark was about 2.5. This is dual as well, dual tips, 4.5. The other ones were 4, I believe. Either way, the tone is so much better with this one. On throttle, it gives you that nice little rumble that I really love, and it really sounds great. I love it. And then when I'm on the freeway or cruising around, there is no legitimate drone. It sounds so nice. The only thing you'll hear at that point is just the road from what the tire's picking up, if you know what I mean. So I'll be sticking with that for as long as I can. They teased that they're releasing some headers and an air intake. Probably just go for the headers because this is my first time owning a Subaru engine, so I've heard that you're better off not replacing or going with an aftermarket intake unless you're going for a tune, which I'm not going for a tune because if I go for a tune, I'm voiding the warranty. So I feel like after adding those headers with this exhaust, they'll give it more of like that nice beautiful rumble. I heard they're unequal length headers as well, so oof. I get 28.6 miles per gallon average, more likely, since I drive this day almost every day, since it's my car that I take to work. It's my car that I use on a daily, on the weekend when I go out. So normally I would get like about 33 miles per gallon if I'm on the freeway. If I'm on the street, around that area, 28, 26. Audio wise, a lot of people complain about the sound in here. These are my settings that I have currently. I would totally recommend this. I usually listen to metal, some techno, or hyperspeed techno, but these are my settings I would recommend. My dial's in here. I love it. Simple and easy. Push button. Everything here is all perfectly fine. I'm not really picky on this, but when it came to like buttons, I prefer this over touchpads. The new Golf has, or more like Volkswagen's cars have. Touchscreen, everything here. Like you want to control your AC here, you have to touch it, you have to go through all that. I'm happy the way that the route they choose to use more buttons for the BRZ. I know the WRX has like more of like a huge iPad looking panel, but for the BRZ they stuck to more buttons, which my approval. Keep this in mind, this is my first manual transmission car, the Subaru BRZ, so I had to drive away from the dealer not knowing as much. I drove a Mazda Speed 3 for about 5-10 minutes and I learned from that. I would go to CarMax to test out different cars to see what was best for me, and then I test drove a WRX, I test drove a Nissan 370Z, I test drove a Miata, and then I test drove the first gen BRZ. Test driving that BRZ, I was in my head, imagine with the second gen with more torque, more horsepower. I was having fun with that car, man. I always wanted when I was a kid, I wanted a 370Z, but when I got older, I wanted a WRX or a Type R. But knowing how the market is now, it's not that great. It sucks. So going from what price-wise, MSRP, new, had to go with the second gen BRZ. Pre-ordered it first. Well, I actually pre-ordered it from Toyota first and then Subaru. But then in the end, Subaru got the car first than what Toyota did. So this car won, and it won my heart. Hopefully you like what I think about my car. There's many stuff to talk about, but there's only so much you could fit in one video. So thank you so much. It means a lot. If you stop by and watch this video, leave a like, leave a sub if you want to watch more. Other than that, have a good one, guys. Take care.